In French, there are several forms that can be used to express yourself in the past, but the most common of all is the Passé Composé, which in English translates to the compound past or the perfect tense. Passé Composé is one of the tenses used to talk about events that happened in the past, and it refers to single action in the past. How do you form the Passé Composé now? Even before we dive in, the Passé Composé is actually built into two parts. First part is the auxiliary verb, also known as the helping verb. And in French, you use either avoir or être, plus the past participle of the verb. Okay, so let's bring that in context. So this verb is parler, okay, parler, to speak. If you wanted to say I spoke, okay, I spoke, then you follow the rule of Passé Composé using the auxiliary verb avoir plus the past participle of the verb. Okay, you should also know that in English, the Passé Composé can be translated in 3 sentences. So in French, let's take this example for instance. Elle a pris une décision. Elle a pris une décision. She took a decision. Okay? So this in English can translate to she made a decision. It could also translate to she has made a decision. It could also mean she did make a decision. Okay, so the next time you want to translate any expression in French, you have it at the back of your mind that this does not just mean she made a decision. It could mean to have done something. Okay, so j'ai mangé du riz could be I ate rice, could mean I have eaten rice, and it could also mean I did eat rice. Okay, c'est bon? Bravo. Okay, so how do you get past participles from the infinitive form of the verbs? Now look at me closely. For ER verbs, all you need to do is to remove the R at the end of the verb and add the acute accent. That's all. Just remove the R at the end of the verb and add the acute accent. These are some examples. Alright, for IR verbs, the second group verbs that end in IR, all you need to do is to just remove the R. Okay, so if this is the infinitive form of the verb, then this is the past participle of this verb. C'est compris? We're going somewhere, just follow me, okay? And for RE verbs, all you need to do is to remove the RE and replace it with U. So these are some examples. Vendre becomes vendu, descendre becomes descendu, and other examples. C'est bon? So how do you conjugate a verb in its Passé Composé? Now you should know that most verbs in French are actually conjugated with the auxiliary verb avoir. Okay? But it is common rule, general rule, that you use avoir with non-movement verbs while you use être with movement verbs. Although there are some exceptions to that rule, but we'll see that later. Alright, revenons à nos moutons. Alright, so how do you conjugate a verb in its Passé Composé? You need the auxiliary verb plus the past participle. The auxiliary verb, which could be avoir or être, depending on the verb, and the past participle of the verb. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to learn how to conjugate avoir in present tense. Okay, so can we review that quickly? Super. Alright, so this is how you conjugate avoir in present tense. You have j'ai, tu as, il a, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. Alright, so this is the first step. The first step is to conjugate avoir in present tense. The next step is to just add the past participle of the verb. Okay, so you just add the participe passé form of the verb to avoir in present tense, and you have Passé Composé. It's as simple as that. All right, so let's look at this example for instance. J'ai mangé. I ate or I have eaten. Tu as mangé. You ate or you've eaten. Okay, il a mangé. He ate or is eaten or he has eaten. Elle a mangé. She's ate or she has eaten. like that. Okay, nous avons mangé, vous avez mangé, ils ont mangé, elles ont mangé. Okay, it's as simple as that. Let's look at another verb, IR verb. In this example, the verb applaudir. Okay, applaudir means to clap. Okay, so if you wanted to say I clapped, okay, that's past tense. I clapped. What do? Okay, you first conjugate avoir in present tense like this. Then you only add the passe of the verb applaudir to the verb. And how do you form the passe of applaudir? You simply remove the R. Okay, so j'ai applaudi becomes I clapped. Okay, I clapped or I have clapped. C'est compris? So to conjugate a verb in the Passé Composé is as simple as ABC. All you need to do is to conjugate avoir in present tense. Okay, the first step is to conjugate avoir in present tense, just like this. You get that? Now, the second thing you need to do is to add the past participle of the verb. Okay, just add the past participle of the verb to the conjugated form of avoir, and you have Passé Composé. Alright, so let's look at the verb travailler, for instance, to work. Okay, travailler. So what do? Okay, you write avoir, conjugate avoir in present tense. Then, so what is the past participle of the verb travailler? How do you form the past participle? Do you remember? Yes, you remove the R. Then what do? Then you put an accent. What's the accent called? Accent aigu, okay? The acute accent. Bravo. Okay? So to get the past participle of ER verbs, you only remove the R and you put the acute accent on the E. C'est bon? Alright, so what you just need to do is to add the past participle to the conjugated form of avoir in present tense. So, j'ai travaillé will mean I worked. Tu as travaillé, you worked. Il a travaillé, he worked. Elle a travaillé, she worked. Nous avons travaillé, we worked. Vous avez travaillé, you worked or you have worked, as the case may be. Ils ont travaillé, elles ont travaillé. C'est bon? So if you wanted to ask if someone worked yesterday morning, you say, tu as travaillé hier matin? Tu as travaillé hier matin? J'ai travaillé dur pour réaliser ce projet. J'ai travaillé dur pour réaliser ce projet. I worked hard to realize this project or to make this project. C'est bon? Alright, you should know that when conjugated with the auxiliary verb avoir, the participle passé, the past participle, does not agree in number and in gender with the subject. Okay, so even if it was a lady talking, you don't need to add an extra E, with a few exceptions that we'll see in subsequent videos. Okay, but generally in French, when you conjugate a verb in passé composé using avoir, then it does not agree. Okay, so j'ai travaillé, whether it's a lady talking or a man, you don't need to add an extra E. Just leave it this way. Okay, c'est bon? Bravo. Tu as assisté à la pièce de théâtre? Tu as assisté à la pièce de théâtre? Did you attend the play? Okay. Did you attend the play? Tu as assisté à la pièce? Okay, so you can say to assister there is in the passé composé form. Okay, so all these underlined expressions, verbs, are in the passé composé. Okay, so the only time when the past participle we agree is when the direct object comes before the verb. Okay, but these will be treated in another separate video, so I don't want us to mix things up. Okay, so this video is just to give you a general idea of the passé composé. Then the subsequent video will learn some exceptions and we'll go deeper. C'est bon? Alright, so if you understood that, can you try to translate the following sentences? I called Doreen. I called Doreen. So the verb to call is appeler. Okay, appeler. So how do you translate this? The first thing, super, j'ai appelé Doreen. Okay, J'ai appelé Doreen. Okay? It's just as simple as that. Okay? He bought a car. He bought a car. Okay? The verb to buy is acheter. Okay? Acheter. So how do you say he bought a car? And car in French is une voiture. Une voiture. So how do you say he bought a car? Bravo, il a acheté une voiture. Il a acheté une voiture. Bravo. The next expression, she sold the house. She sold the house. House in French is la maison. La maison. So how do you say she sold a house? Okay, the verb to sell is vendre. Vendre. And the past participle, you remove the er and replace with you, is vendu. Elle a vendu sa maison. Elle a vendu sa maison. Bravo. Okay, à vous maintenant. Can you complete the sentences with the correct conjugated form of the verb in brackets in their Passé Composé form? Okay, can you do that? Alright, let's try this. Elle sous-titrait ce film. Elle sous-titrait ce film. So sous-titrer is the verb in the infinitive form. So how do you turn this verb to Passé Composé? What's the answer? Elle a sous-titré ce film. Bravo. Elle a sous-titré ce film. That means she subtitled this movie. Bravo. Next one. Il invitait beaucoup de monde. Il invitait beaucoup de monde. Okay? Il a invité beaucoup de monde. Bravo. Il a invité beaucoup. Don't forget the simple rule. Auxiliary verb plus past participle. In this case, we're using avoir plus avoir in present tense plus the past participle. C'est bon? Merci beaucoup d'avoir suivi aujourd'hui. In subsequent videos, we will learn the past participles of irregular verbs. We'll also learn some of these exceptions we spoke about when the past participle agrees, even when you're using avoir to conjugate it. Also, there's going to be a separate video on using être, okay, as an auxiliary verb, okay. We'll also learn pronominal verbs and reciprocal verbs, okay. So stick around. If you've not turned on your notification, I think this is the right time to do so, so you won't miss any of my latest videos. Merci beaucoup encore une fois et à très bientôt.